So welcome everyone. If you're on Twitch at the moment, welcome. I am going to be posting this onto YouTube after everything. Of course, it should come out tomorrow. But of course, if you're watching on YouTube, we do live streams on Twitch. So if you want to see it live, go on to Twitch. It's basically twitch.tv, Dragon001, same thing as my YouTube. Both ways, but yeah, welcome either way, shape, or form. And of course, for more updates, I do have the Twitter account that I post on, which is basically Dragon001, but with a 3 instead of an E because some jerk took the regular one. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. We are talking about Hanzo. And I'm going to be joined here with Garrett, and we do have Chris here. I don't know if you want to talk at all. You can just hang out and just kill Garrett. I don't care. He is our designated Moira main. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go through basic stuff with Hanzo and then tips with it. So with his primary fire, regular fire, his arrow, let's just say his arrow shot. Recently the speed has been increased and now it is given it a little more viability to actually hit fair out of the sky, which I actually think is pretty accurate. And not too accurate. It basically, you pressure the Pharah enough that the Pharah has to be a little more fancier, but it depends. It's one of those things, if you deal with her a little bit better and can be considered a counter, but if the Pharah knows what they're doing, it's not as much. It's kind of awkward, but yeah, that's that. Some fun facts about not melee, primary fire is that if you body shot a tracer and then follow it up with a melee, you actually just one-shot her. So if you want to get those one-shots, you can just body melee. Used to be able to one-shot headshot a tracer with the storm arrows, but it doesn't do that anymore, which I think was a terrible thing for them to do, is just make it so that tracer survived. But you know, whatever. And then Garrett, can you switch to baguette real quick?
Damn it. Yeah, sure, I just died.
Okay. Because I want to test this out. I can't remember if it's true. I'll just meet you at spawn. Of if you can one-shot headshot, because I used to think that it does 250 damage headshot, but then I remember Widow can one-shot headshot baguette. Can you drop the shield? I just need to see if I can kill you in one shot. I can't. There you go. So it does 250. So you can't one-shot a baguette. Fun fact. That was one thing that I wasn't really sure about, because I haven't really tested that.
Well, it's 250 health including armor. So it decreases the damage output by 5, right?
Yeah, so armor decreases the damage taken by 5, or by half if the total of the shot is less than 10.
Mm-hmm.
So like Winston gets completely destroyed because he does like, I think almost like 1 damage because it's multiple shots. Another fun thing is that Roadhog doesn't do well because his is a shotgun with many pellets. And so all of those get decreased separately. But yeah, so that's pretty much it with the primary fire. Also, I forgot about this. To cancel your charge shot, you can hit right click and he drops his shot. Or you can melee and he drops his shot as well. And then also if you're climbing, if you charge it and climb, you can actually immediately shoot right after, and you can keep the charge that you have while climbing, which is pretty sweet. This leads us to the next thing of climbing and leaping. I think this is, first or even second most important part of Hanzo's kit, and it's his climbing. And basically, you know how I said you can charge and then shoot immediately as you come up over the edge? That I find is pretty sweet, and I personally like it. there is some strategies that you can do where you can basically dance around objects and then jump and then just shoot. It takes practice. Basically, you have to be able to target acquire very, very fast. Probably the most fun thing to do is do this and kill a widow over the wall. Mainly just because widows don't usually expect the Hanzo to jump over the wall unless she has sights. So it's pretty nice there. But yeah, I think that's one of the most powerful things is a peek shot. Mainly because, and let's do an example real quick. Let's say, let me get out of that sniper duel from hell. I'm actually going to go over to the choke point to show this. And we can see. So if I'm right here and I'm peeking.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm also doing terrible on Hanzo today. I don't know why. I need to get better at him for today. But yeah, if you're poking at the choke, you're very predictable. You're only going to be at this level, but if you're doing stuff like this, then the widow doesn't know where you're going to be. And then if you intersperse leap into it, it's hard for them to actually predict where you're going to end up being if you're just constantly moving around. And if you jump up here and take a peek shot, you don't have to like stay on the high ground either. You can just do this all day. And you get value with minimal peeking, so you create pressure without having a lot of pressure created on you. And in a lot of cases, especially in like solo queue and quick play and stuff like that, they won't really be able to communicate to each other where you're at. So many times they don't know where you are because you're constantly jumping around. You end up becoming like a miniature Pharah with Hanzo, but with walls, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much the best thing. And then my big advice for leap overall is to use it liberally. So throw it around, honestly. Do not be like, oh, I don't want to leap because I might need to use it sometime in this fight. Just use it whenever. Dodge a shot, whatever. Have fun. But yeah. So we have the next thing I think is rivaling the climb. Some people say Storm Arrow's overpowered. Not really. But yeah, the Sonar Arrow is the next thing. And I think this one is more powerful since they buffed the cooldown on it, which was pretty nice. Basically, for some tips, is place in high value spots. So if I was playing Hanzo on this, I would want to put an arrow, boom, right there so that I know whenever someone's trying to jump over, we actually see them approaching that line. Then you can also use it if they do get around. You can do this, and you don't have to charge it all the way. You can just like quick drop, and then it's just right there. Another good thing to do is like between Widow v Widow fights, for example. If I see like Garrett, I can do this, and now we can see him behind walls, and the Widow v Widow fight's a lot easier for our Widow.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah, and the thing is like pretty much now I have it back, and now I can drop it again, and then now he has sights again, and this comes into
again?
Yeah, I just gave it to him again. That's how fast it is, Garrett. Just
bullying.
Yeah, you know what's even funnier is I'm trying to find you real quick so I know where to drop it. I can just toss it right there again. But yeah, that's pretty slick there. But yeah, you use it to win Widow v Widow fights. At the moment, it's the main reason why Hanzo's being used in competitive Overwatch League. Mainly just because of his Sonar Arrow, even before all of his buffs and stuff. Is this because of Sonar Arrow? That and a little bit because of Dragon Strike. Does a couple of cool things, and there is like one-shot capabilities and higher bursts and stuff like that, but it's mainly for that winning Widow v Widow fights, because if I drop this in an area, then Chris can see at that direction of where Garrett's gonna be, and of course I can toss it around many different ways, and we can just learn a lot more about the team. It's pretty slick. So yeah, next thing to do is combos. Combos with sonar arrow, of course. So Ryan actually gets a lot of good information with sonar arrow, um, because he can use fire strike and position it just correctly, and it's pretty sweet there. Oh, I suck. But yeah, so you get that combo with the Reinhardt to basically not die as often. And then you also get the counter of Widow. Well, the combo with Widow of sights and all that kind of stuff. Of course, we do have... So, it's actually kind of interesting. Hog gets some good, basically, combos with Sonar Arrow. And it's mainly because if anyone remembers way back when... the one time Hanzo was meta, I think it was almost like in closed beta this was happening. But they would use a Sonic Arrow and a Roadhog so that Hog could get easy hooks. And that was pretty much the deal. Is they would do it so that Hog can just see behind walls and time it just right. And that was usually very good. Ult combos, we do have Reaper, because the Reaper would basically see, because there's like that whole idea of check corners for Reapers, and it's a big deal in Overwatch at the moment, of just make sure you know where Reaper is, and if you use Sonar Arrow you can counter it, or you can give the Reaper notice before he needs to ult, or if he's flanking or stuff like that, plus giving notice for people flanking of what's going on and who's a good target. And then you have Zarya with her ult comboing, because of course the peeking, because sometimes you'll have a hiding Zarya, same thing with Baguette, and they'll peek and shoot. Earthshatter, so Earthshatter helps out, because he can peek as well, pretty nice. And also, probably the biggest thing that people overlook and have been overlooking is that it's good for dive. Because if I did, like, I tossed it here, and you could see, like, the Zenyatta, like, right there, like, you can see Garrett at the moment, then we could pick it as a dive target, and things will end up being pretty nice. And I think that's it for Sonar Arrows. By the way, if anyone has any questions, like in the chat stuff, just go ahead and place them on whenever. Becomes pretty nice. I think me and Chris shot him at the same time, and that's why we got him. Okay, now Storm Arrows. So Storm Arrows is the new one. Pretty basic. So some tips with it, because it's pretty straightforward, but using it's very difficult. So tips with it is make sure that you're hitting multiple, like, low health to confirm your kills. Because that's pretty nice with it, is if you can hit multiple targets and mainly just because your rate of fire, but your damage is dropped. So sometimes you won't want to actually use it. So that's the main things. It just depends. Because I prefer just shooting to get kills, but if people are low, I just drop the Storm Arrow and start going. Burning barriers is another thing. If you need a barrier to drop, I just unload into it, and it gets pretty slick. Burning tanks as well. I'll toss it into people just to get ult charge and confirm a little more kills than regular. Becomes pretty slick there. And then probably the most is patience. Is you don't have to basically launch them all at once. And then, of course, the other one is confirming kills. And I'm doing terrible today. I am doing absolutely terrible on Hanzo today. I'm usually a lot better at this, but of course, when I'm doing a video, it doesn't work well. Now onto the ult. So his ult has a fast charge rate, of course, with his new stuff. I almost say it would rival Tracer. His charge rate will rival Tracer's charge rate. Probably a little bit less of a charge rate, but not too bad. Oh, and with ultimates, the best thing to do is if you're just throwing it, you're gonna want to make sure that you're hitting right targets. So basically, set up that you're shooting into chokes. You're So make sure you're shooting into chokes. And then if not, I throw it behind the team. So like if you're throwing it on a payload just to get off the payload, try to throw it in the direction they're leaving. So that because then you know that that's where they are trying to go and they'll be pissed otherwise. And then of course behind them, because a lot of the times they won't notice it. But yeah. Then the next thing, yeah, so just making sure you put the ults behind is nice. You'll be surprised how many kills you actually get doing that. And then now we're on to Strat. So Garrett, you can chime in whenever. But jump shots is on the top of my list of jump shots being the best thing. Do you have any strat ideas for Hanzo? No.
I don't play Hanzo.
Okay, I'll go on to my next one. Is the Mei combo, and not a lot of people have actually looked into this, but the combo with Mei is pretty nice. Just because of how everything works out. Basically, you can combo the ults as well. Mei ults, Hanzo ults on everyone who's frozen, or Hanzo uses his ult to block off the exit route. That's nice. Likewise, you can use the Mei wall to do the same, where you block off those routes. They end up being pretty snazzy. And then other stuff. Yeah, and then you can double ult, and that becomes pretty nice. I'm trying to figure out what else. So that's with Mei, and I really like Mei with Hanzo, mainly just because she covers the close range stuff. But all that kind of stuff with Mei, and then there's double sniper, which was originally my strategy way back when, the secret strategy, and then of course everyone started using it, and so there you go. Basically you get the combo with Widowmaker where Widowmaker wins all the duels, and technically a Hanzo and a Widowmaker has the highest kill potential, and so theoretically Hanzo's the best character in the game if you're good at him, theoretically. And it's kind of like at best. And then, of course, you create multiple pressure points. And a lot of people actually don't realize this, but Hanzo's, and the main reason why people are playing Hanzo and Widow is because of pressure that is created. Because if you have a Widow that can hit a ton of shots and she's right here, no one can jump out here without getting poked at, or at least killed. So it's pretty important there. And then going down to minor combos is Roadhog, just because of the sonar arrow hook combo and a lot of stuff with that makes it pretty nice. And then there's the Zarya Grav combo. And that kind of follows up of all of the stuff. But, like, do you have anything else to add, Garrett?
I mean, have you covered the two snipers comp?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he was just talking about.
Okay, didn't know if that was it explicitly. Alright.
Yeah.
No, that... I really don't know much about Hanzo.
Do you see Hanzo becoming meta?
Unfortunately. I only say that unfortunately because he hasn't been really. He's kind of only been played because of those people who are like, oh yeah, it's a bow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do great with this bow character.
Well, I
Kind of like how most people play Widowmaker because they're like, oh yeah, I'm coming from Call of Duty. This must be great. I mean, you know, Soldier 76 is good, but man, Widowmaker's a one-hit kill.
yeah. And
That's kind of how I see Hanzo. Just in general, I just can't take him seriously.
And I find it funny that now Overwatch League is playing Hanzo.
And they're playing him with scatter arrows still as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it gets pretty interesting with all of that. I think that at the best it is one of the best comps, possibly like in comparison to like the Two Lanterns comp. I think it could rival it. Not as much though. I think Two Lanterns comp is still the best at the moment, but otherwise it's pretty good.
Okay, Chris, you're playing Widowmaker today.
You know we've been talking about it, and you were like, who will play Widowmaker? And I said Chris, and you're like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah.
I've been practicing.
I know Jake used to be a Widow main. We can throw him
Does
in.
not mean he's good. I haven't really played with him that much, but just because you have a lot of time on Widow does not automatically make you good.
I haven't played him at all. I've played with him at all, but yeah. So if we have any more questions, I'll stay streaming until all of that stuff's just so that we can get it all good in the hood. But yeah, so just play around a little bit, make Matt mad.
Yeah, let's pretend like we're still in here. You know, doing our normal thing. That way Matt thinks, you know, we're still doing it and we're not. And then we can BM him later.
This was a really, really rough map to be having this Widow fight, so it got pretty intense.
Yeah, I died like 8 times.
Well, and then like having the both of you chase me, that was pretty rough.
In case you're wondering, I suck. Oh wait, you didn't have to wonder. Alright, I'm going over to Big B.
Yeah, Garrett, how I said that me and Chris did double sniper one night, and it was just the most disgusting thing ever.
I appreciate hearing it, but he's not here, so we can't hear you.
Ah.
You already moved to Big B.
try to jump. Well, I think that's going to be it for today then. But yeah, so if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and all that kind of stuff to keep up to date with everything. That was very poetic. But yeah, make sure that you're hooked in with all this stuff. Follow on Twitch so that you can get up to date there. Basically, I do different things on each one, different times, and of course, with like everything together, I post more on Twitter for updates and stuff like that. And if you do come out to the streams, we do like a half an hour of music beforehand. It's pretty sweet there. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and see you later. Bye.